Hello and welcome to the 2021 coverage of the Michigan Disc Golf Hall of Fame Classic. My name is Zachary O'Haron, and on the commentator's mic with me, I've got Matt Jackson. How you doing, Matt?
I'm doing well. I am very excited to watch the conclusion of this fine event at one of Michigan's gems, the greatest course we have in Michigan, arguably.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have a stacked card here. So a little bit of movement at the top. Lots of people shooting some hot rounds here at BlueGill in round 2. So we're going to have to check out who we have, starting with Vincent, another out-of-towner from Wisconsin, who is looking to get his first W here as an A-tier in Michigan. Patrick Burke also right behind him. Only a couple strokes behind. He was in first place after round 1. Oh, yeah, and he's repping his blue. He always does.
We got Willie Prince, another Grand Rapids native, Discraft-sponsored athlete, and quite the crusher.
Always love to have Willie on the channel. It's almost like he's a veteran now.
And to bring up the rest of the card is Mr. Hamilton, also known as Ian Hamilton, and I'm very excited to see my buddy on coverage.
And we're actually going to add David Feldberg to the card today as like a special bonus. He is being inducted into the Michigan Hall of Fame in this event, so congratulations to him. And we're off back to hole 1 again, 475 feet. You're looking to get past this first kind of cluster of trees. It is reachable, it is slightly downhill, but it is a very difficult shot. Matt, what are you throwing off the tee here?
I'm playing a shot that's going to put me in the middle of the fairway because twos, again, are very, very tough. So I'm playing for my 3. I'm going to play a neutral fairway or a forehand out to the middle of the fairway and approach the basket on my second shot. But you know, some of these guys on this card are totally going to attack the hole. You got Willie Prince, who has the power to get there. I'm imagining Vincent, being sponsored by Discmania, has quite the arm, but I'm excited to watch him throw.
Yeah, a little more balanced game as far as I can tell, but with both backhand and forehand. And just like you said, he is going to put himself right around that circle 2 edge, and he is off to the races, not slowing down from the previous round. Patrick Burke also has the power to reach this one. This one looks a better height. He's got to stop turning over, though, to beat this bush of trees, and he does. So he's in the open space. That's an okay landing zone if you end up short.
Definitely. We got Willie Prince here. Big arm, so we're probably going to attack I'm assuming he's attacking the basket with either a high speed or a fairway driver. And
it's crazy to almost say that sometimes. It's like he has to club down just for like...
Right.
Looks like he's going to land on that right side in that kind of thick brush on the right side, but I think he's far enough forward where he'll be able to get up and down from his position, so I don't think he'll take any damage from there. We have Ian up next. I know he likes to throw pro destroyers, so I think this might be one of those. They're a little flippier so that he can kind of attack this gap, and it is turned over, headed to that right side as well. Nearly is able to come back and attack the kind of this basket area, but it's going to get caught up on the edge as well. And as we mentioned before, this is going to be one of our special events where we have 5 people on the card. 2008 World Champ Dave Feldberg on the card with us today, also turning something over, and he looks like he's going to land in a pretty similar spot as Ian, maybe inside that brush a little further though. Pat in a pretty traditional landing spot, short. Patrick with the ideal layup here. That's going to be textbook for him.
Dave looks a little pinched on the right side, but close enough to where he should be a pretty routine up and down, which it is.
Yeah, and he kind of has that pat and down, step around position. Like, he's very good at that, so no trouble for him at all.
And like we said earlier, threes are very, very common. You're going to feel very good walking off this hole with a 3. A 2 is strokes on folks, and 4s can happen so easily. So you see a lot of these guys just kind of laying up, getting off this hole to start the round.
Willie, the first one really to give it a bid, just a touch high. He'll have a longer comeback. Vincent says no par for me. Birdie for this guy.
What a putt.
He's starting off the round hot. Already with a 2-stroke lead. He says, give me one more.
You said he's from Wisconsin?
Yes.
I wonder if he took the ferry over. That would have been pretty cool.
Ooh, yeah. Vincent, if you see this, let me know. There, he is one of 5 people that got a birdie for this round. Along with Ryan Herzog, Jeff Bennett, Finley, Buchanan, Jacobs, and Bart Kowalski.
Willie's got a little bit more on the bone that he'd like to chew off, but just left side. He looked like he had to do a wide straddle around that tree that's kind of right in front of the basket.
Yeah, he needed those Andrew Marweed legs to reach around it.
For sure. What a blessing to be 6'6", 6'7", have long legs.
It's just something in my dreams.
And everyone's tapping off. Good news for Willie. I mean, though a fourth, he's probably upset. So much golf left.
Yeah, and it's a course he can attack. It's, those guys in Grand Rapids, this is a course that in leagues and you try to get to as often as you can because it's just a wonderful time. And so it's definitely a course he can attack, and he knows what he needs to do now.
Hole 2, we have a 360-foot dead straight shot. We're going to have OB all on the left side. It's roped off. Clear on the right, but some natural OB. This is to me, a signature hole here at BlueGill. It is a slightly uphill, dead straight shot, and you need to control your speed because if you're coming in with too much and you flare to the left, you will go OB.
A must-get birdie, I would say, for our card here because this is one of those holes that is very gettable. So if you're trying to set that pace, you need to be able to convert on this hole. Vincent looks like he's doing just that. Needs to slow down. Yeah, it's going to be in circle.
That's a great shot.
Little tree love, too, for the leader. Doesn't it always work that way?
I like watching Patrick Burke throw. You can see he puts all his momentum behind it.
Yeah, he's a full commitment kind of guy.
Full commitment, and that's the thing in disc golf is committing to your shot. And I feel like though you might think that's a little awkward or something, it's forcing him to commit his body into his throw.
A little right side for him too.
Ian's probably throwing a TL3, splattered TL3 is what I'm assuming. I know it's bagged pretty well. Hug that right side, and he's another athlete in the area of Grand Rapids that is very good here at BlueGill, and he's comfortable here, and you can see it clearly on that shot.
Yeah, he loves his fairway drivers.
Very much so. That TL3 he is a master with.
Dave's throwing something a little less stable, it looks like, but he's found a pure line here, and like I said, this is a must-get for our lead card to kind of keep the pace going, and we have 3 great shots already in circle. Willie looking to make a correction from that first hole. Birdie here would kind of erase it. And he's going to be, that's a tough spot. He's going to be underneath that bush, right around circle's edge. See if Willie can make some magic from over there. First, though, we got Pat.
Right, edge of circle 2, I'm assuming.
Yeah, he's
kind
pretty deep.
Laying up, yeah.
Give it a half bit. It's uphill, too, so even if you leave it a little high, it won't go too far past.
Willie looks like he has a low ceiling and maybe circle's edge. That's a tough putt.
Yeah, nothing he could do about it. Vincent looking to just keep that birdie train going. He's carrying it over from the day before. And he does so beautifully.
Ideal start. Very rare to go birdie at BlueGill, but you're feeling good. You got a 4-stroke lead. Supposedly on your card. Obviously, you're not sure what's going on the other cards, but he's building that confidence, and it's once you build that confidence, you run with it.
Yeah, the benefit of those tee times, and there was PDGA live today, so the benefit of this, tee time here is that Vincent does have a little more information in this scenario, so he does see kind of ahead of him a little bit how some of the other competitors are doing. So I don't know if he checked it at all. That's a personal preference for most people, but it's definitely information that if he wanted, it is available to him a little bit. And the hole played as 2.83 on the hole, so just a little under that par 3. And now we're heading to hole 3. Matt, love this hole. What's going on?
Me too. The bowling alley here at BlueGill is statistically per stroke the hardest hole on the course. We have OB on the left, natural OB on the right. We have about a 6-foot gap per 240 feet. And like I said, just hitting the initial gap is crucial. And a birdie is what you want at 240 feet, but anything lower than a 4 is very good.
Yeah, yesterday played as one of the most difficult holes, as Vincent is going to kick towards that OB, but I think he's short and safe. Ian here. I think Ian's probably going to throw his polecat.
I think he usually attacks this hole with his polecat, but that actually looks like his Colt.
Oh, you're
So
right.
maybe it's one of the two.
He hits early and short, but he's still in the central fairway, so he'll have an ability to throw again down the same gap. Ooh,
Ooh,
David plinkoing a little bit. It's gonna kick right, but I think he's far enough down where he can just get up and down from that spot. Oh, miss it. Oh, that tree has got people's numbers. Pat's over a hard kick to the right. I think he's in those woods.
let's see how Willie attacks this hole.
Oh no, no,
Right,
no. Not what he needs.
some frustration building, but let's see if he can keep his head.
This is right where we saw Kyle the day before. This is a tough spot.
Yeah, the left side to get up and down from is very challenging.
Big up. Go in. Let's go!
Oh my gosh, what a shot.
That's one way to do a par save. Holy smokes.
That's how you turn your round right around and get right back on the train that you need to.
I love his choice going on the outside gap here. It's a little bigger. It does narrow a little bit with that last tree you see him miss to kind of get at the basket, but it is perfectly placed. Low 9 spot on Heiser, but it's going to stick this time, and that's a great save. Willie's tracking it, making sure that goes in. Big fist pump.
Let's go, Willie Prince. Great shot, bud.
He's always good for a highlight or two around.
Ian's in a good spot, looking for probably a good jump putt.
Yeah. A little left there, but he's safe. It's going to be a pretty textbook tap in from there.
Feldberg. Probably going to give this a little bid.
Yeah. Oh, he had a good line on that.
You can see the bowling pin on top of the basket. Kind of goes with the hole's name, bowling alley in general. But
Patrick Burke here in jail has nowhere to go except up, and he's going to leave himself short. I'm going to say circle's edge, maybe circle 2 there. With a tree in his way, it's going to be a tough par save for him. Can Vincent go 3 for 3? He's feeling inspired. Willie's disc still in the basket. Not quite. Close, though. Okay, Pat needs this to save his par. There you go, Pat.
That's a lead card putt right there.
Yeah, and Pat's one of those guys too. He kind of slides under the radar a little bit. But if you really focus on him at all, it seems like he just doesn't miss the putts he has to make. Every time he needs to make one, it just goes in.
That's what it puts you on lead card.
Absolutely, I agree, and he deserves to be on this lead card for this event.
All right, his fire start is slowly sizzled, but still a 3-on-3 is good, right? Hole 4 is our first true par 4 on the course. We're looking at 710 feet. The course designer, Joe Gill, again, one of the greatest humans on the planet. You can see the landing point is on the left, which gives you a hyzer or a straight shot into the basket. To me, this is a very challenging at only 710 feet par 4. You can see the OB rock garden there that you have to carry to get to the basket. 3, to me, is strokes on folks. 4 is a good score, and then minimizing damage is obviously the most important thing in disc golf.
Yeah, and that rock garden you pointed out is also OB in front of the basket. So if you don't carry it, you're going to find yourself in trouble. Vincent actually going with a forehand here. He's going to leave himself more inside, but he might be making that as a play to, guarantee a 4 at worst to kind of stay away from the OB.
Ian's going to be ripping on a destroyer.
Mm-hmm.
And he looked like he's going right for that landing, which again, if you look at the tee shot, the tee sign, it's actually pretty funny, the course designer.
We have that long grass, too, just past that little bubble there, which means, even if you are headed right towards the OB, you should get grabbed. There's not a lot of ground action that'll put you over that OB rope. So Ian's going to be safe.
That OB rope was just placed, I'm assuming, for this Hall of Fame Classic, because it is not there for the course the
Correct.
original course.
Yeah,
Yep.
Joe comes out for this event whenever, a big event is hosted here and you're working with Larry. He comes out with those rope spools and he like lines up some of the OB to make sure everything's really clean and looks nice for the event. So, huge shout
I
out to
like
Joe
that.
Gill.
Always. Always.
Willie smashing something out here. I think he's probably going to club down actually with a fairway driver. As I say that, he's still smashing it past everyone. But I think he likes the fairway in that position just to control that hyzer.
Right. This is the shot that the hole demands the most out of. Is you kind of have a low ceiling. That wall of pine trees on the left doesn't really always let you go through. And again, you having to carry that OB rock garden. This is a very demanding second shot. That's why the 3 is very tough.
Yeah, and you can see here where Ian's at, that gap opens up a little bit more over here, so he has a little more room to kind of attack that gap. But he looks a little left inside as well, and he's going to get stopped early. That's not rolling into a good spot either.
No, that's that common with that row of pine trees. It's not very friendly.
Got Pat here also on the right side a little bit. And you can see him trying to play for that turnover. The danger is, okay, didn't go in the rock garden. That was the danger.
Which gives you a good putt. I mean, he's circle 2, but
Deep circle 2.
deep circle. To carry that rock garden is tough.
Dave here also in that left side, so he's opening up. It looks like he's hitting the gap. Oh, yeah, he's out there.
Great shot from Dave.
Willie also in a prime position here. He's probably throwing mid-range, Buzz OS maybe?
I could see him with a mid-range. That looked like the speed of a mid-range. And again, deep circle 2. Find that, looking for a birdie putt.
Yeah, he hung that out right. I think that if that tree was probably beneficial, I think that fence line is OB.
A little polecat from Mr. Hamilton.
Yes, that is like a champion polecat, right?
Champ, Huck Labs died, champ polecat.
What a guy.
Mm-hmm.
Vincent from deep. Another great bid. He's right on. He's just trying to set that pace for everyone.
For those of you who don't know, Ian is a gym teacher. So as I refer to him as Mr. Hamilton, is a semi-joke between us as he is a teacher. So it's kind of funny.
And yet you don't call me Mr. O'Haron. That seems weird now.
I could start.
No, please don't. Pat with a good bid there. We got David next. And what was it, 25 feet about?
Yeah.
20, 25. Definitely can get a stroke back on people, and he does so.
Good putt. That 3, do you have the statistics on how many 3s were for this final round?
Yes, there are 16 of them. I was just counting it just now.
Nice.
Averaged at 4.16 for round 3, which is a little worse than round 2. So a couple more bogeys this round.
Okay.
Speaking of
fatigue.
Yeah, that's true. It's a day 3 of an event, of a 3-day event.
Yep.
Also, I didn't mention this on the last hole, but you had said the last hole with hole 3, it did in day 2 play as one of the most difficult holes. In round 3, it played as 2.99. So I think everyone kind of decided to not take extra strokes there and play a little safer, a little differently.
For sure.
And hole 5 now is one of the new holes, 565 feet. You're just trying to take it through this initial gap. You can land as far left really as you want. The OB line doesn't play too bad. The farther out, the better. You really want to not be too close to this oil rig because then your next shot is a turnover backhand with a putter or a forehand into this green area. There is a drop off directly on top of the basket. I mean, there's no space. It's on the edge of the hill, which has a 50, 60 foot drop off. So the green is the real thing you got to be careful of here as long as you're past the gap off your drive. Dave looks like he's done that beautifully. Yeah, he's in the open space. He's going to be in a great spot to throw I would imagine for him a turnover shot, probably with a putter to attack the green.
We saw in round 2 that speed control coming into this basket is frightening to the athletes. From round 2, Dan Trees kind of left it a little short because of that immediate drop off behind the pin. It requires a great second shot.
Ian now. Vincent got a little lucky punching through the tree line. Ian putting himself in a really good spot distance-wise. Depending on what your game, allows you to do, like if you were trying to look on a big spike hyzer or kind of hyzer your forehand is your second shot, he's a little close to that oil rig, I think. Speaking of Dan, there he is in the background.
Hey, Dan.
He is on the chase card. He's actually tied going into the round with Willie, Ian, and David. So, good luck to him. I wish he was still on the card. I always love more Dan. Oh, Willie's about to run into that problem too.
Big arm power.
Yeah.
Big arm problems.
Luckily, he's just short. Kyle, we saw in round 2, landed on the oil rig and kind of compromised his footing. I think Willie's going to be in a good spot there to just kind of have a forehand putter.
Better slow down.
Stop. That's the danger.
You would, oh man. It could roll, honestly, hundreds to 200 feet down that hill.
It could. He's right on the edge there. If you look real close on the leaves, you see a little flash of blue. It didn't go as far as it could have, is the way I'll say it.
Let's see the speed control coming into this basket from the world champ.
I think that was a good tree from him. I think that was going to go down the hill as well. And with a backhand that, as it's panning out, it's just going to sail over that hill. So I think he had a good tree there and is going to keep him in circle. Pat and Dave both playing in between the post and the oil rig. Pat going a little deep, though. But he's on top of the ridge. Okay. Ian with a choice. Ooh, no.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Aim at it, either miss left or right, and sometimes it just hits it straight on.
Sometimes you turn into a better disc golf than you anticipated.
Coach from Willie.
That's the one.
Picturesque.
Yeah, and so Willie kind of landed in the perfect spot you could if you were to attack that oil rig, but there's a lot of danger in doing so. Ian also showing a very nice touch there from that position, putting it right by the basket.
Stress-free tapping.
Pat with a decision to make.
And he looked like he had a lot of limbs and foliage right in his way.
And he just, didn't obstruct it. He just committed to what his putt was, and if it got in the way, it got in the way. And just is going to be short, but he'll have a par still. Vincent, very lucky not to go down that hill, is able to walk away with a birdie here.
Right. Sometimes when it's your round, things always tend to kind of go your way. And right now it's looking good for him because that could have, like I said, easily been a 2-shot difference.
Or more.
I
mean, this is a hole where a big number can happen, and I think a lot of people understand that, so they play it a little safer. This hole actually played as 4.07 on average, so right around that par 4 mark, and a little easier than the hole previously. So I think this round a lot of people are looking to just kind of keep their position, not lose strokes today as we get ready to hole 6, which is probably my new favorite hole in this layout. So the previous hole 5 is a combination of 2 holes, like 2 fairways put together to make a new super long hole. This is another one. This combines the traditional basket where you see it, kind of the elevated one. We're actually not going to throw to that. Our first throw should be in the same landing zone, though. And then our second shot's going to go through this gap into the next hole's fairway. And we're looking to attack this basket, which is by the road, OB Road, right behind it. This one plays very difficult, mostly because a lot of the guys that do play BlueGill haven't been able to practice this a whole lot because it's a new hole for the tournament. And because that second shot, the gap is so small, it sometimes can get people with some tricky positions and angles that they're having trouble hitting.
This first shot is a max power. You're trying to push your high-speed driver as far as you can to get you to that window.
Mm-hmm.
Again, you can kind of see that the size of it. It's not very large. So getting as close to that as possible on a good angle is crucial. So these athletes are going to be ripping into their drivers as hard as they can right now.
Vincent recognizing that he wants to be a little farther left than Dave, but his disc is too understable to come back for him. You really want to be left because that will open up a line for you to be able to attack the basket in 2 shots. It's just so tight. And there's some obstacles too. We saw yesterday that there's a fence over there. If you land by the fence, it could obstruct your run up. But where Willie's going right there, he's a little farther left than you want. I think he wants to be about 10 feet farther to the right, but that's a much better position than the first two guys who really don't have an angle to be able to attack the basket in two.
Ham probably ripping on a destroyer.
Yep, that's a Huck Lab destroyer from him. And this is a little shorter than the other guys, but it is a better position. That's the best angle. He can throw a forehand from there and potentially attack the basket from that spot. Pat turned this one over as well. Better height than it was yesterday, but he's going to be right at the edge. He's going to be farther to the right as well. See what kind of magic he can come up with.
I want to give a quick shout out to Joe Gill looking at this coverage, and the course looks amazing. So big shout out to him again for letting us all come out to his. This is in his backyard, so
that's his
huge
house.
Shout out to Joe Gill.
Yeah, that's his house over on the left.
Yep.
And his barn on the right. Pat unable to hit the gap, but gets a lucky kick back into the fairway, so it should be hopefully an up and down shot for him there. Ian hits the gap, clips a tree, but he will be in the fairway. Yeah, this is a tough spot. I wonder if he's going to try to go roller here.
Yes, sir.
He is, yes. The only danger on this side is that gazebo and the gardens over there are OB, but he doesn't get into any of those. He's going to be just next to the little fenced-in garden right there and have a long look for three. And he's in second place, right? He's trying to get some strokes on Vincent right now, and he has no interest in walking away in second place today. He is trying to win this Hall of Fame Classic and get in the Hall of Fame while he's at it.
Sounds like a pretty good weekend.
Yeah, if he can pull it off. Going to be tough, though. Vincent, just punches the gap. He's going to be in the open space. Willie here has the line to the basket, and he's piped it. Ian's watching it, too. It's exciting to get down there. And it's actually almost too deep.
But he didn't go OB over the road?
He did not. It's going to land just short. I think he clips that bush at the very end, and it kind of like settles him down. It's hard to be a cameraman sometimes because you're not allowed to talk to people about how shots looked or what happened and stuff because it's unfair advantage compared to the other cards. And sometimes when you see stuff like that, they'll come up and be like, that was pretty close, huh? And it's like, I really want to talk to you about it, but I'm not allowed to.
Yeah.
This is looking very clean. Oh my, that was almost, he was running this?
I think that was a good tree too, because the road is probably 3 feet behind that tree.
Yeah, that was bold from Vincent. He's keeping his foot on the gas pedal. Ian a little short.
Should be able to clean that up.
Yeah, it's 20 feet. Dave, this is a chance for him to get a stroke on Vincent. It looks good. It's real close. Pat now. I think this is for his par. Just off to the side there.
Left side.
Okay, Willie. Can you be one of the chosen ones? Can you get a birdie? The elusive birdie. Bang.
What a putt. Great putt, Willie.
The hole averaged on the day as 4.55. Good crew view from Willie here. Get himself back a couple strokes he lost at the beginning of this round. There were 7 people able to walk away with a birdie on this hole, including Benjamin Zorn, Dan, Frank, Kyle, Ryan, Willie, and Zach. Ian, uncharacteristic miss from him there. Kind of.
He's going to want that back.
Yeah, jammed that one. It's going to lose a stroke for him here. One he was not anticipating. But at this point, I think we just have 3 tap-ins now. We're too close to miss. I shouldn't say that. I'm going to say that, and someone's going to spit out, and I'm going to feel awful. All right, guys, don't do it. Don't do it, Ian. Just put it in.
Just tap it in. There we go.
Okay, whew. Okay.
Give it a little tap.
I mean, we saw Willie in the state championship miss one from 8 feet or whatever, so it just popped in my head. I'm sorry, but we're good. We're moving on to hole 7. Maybe the course's favorite one to play. What do we got going on here, Matt?
Hole 7 for the tournament, hole 9 for the original course is a unique 204-foot straight downhill. I mean, you're putting the nose of your disc almost 90 degrees downhill. A play, people will throw backhand or forehand, kind of drive it at the hill, and once it hits the hill, it kind of stops and slides. But very aceable, very foreable. Anything that doesn't stay in bounds goes to a drop zone. The hill is also OB.
Ooh, good branch from
Great
Willie.
shot from Willie.
Huge shout out to the spotters and everyone helping out. I think that's Joey Springer, if I remember correctly. It's looking good from Dave. Good height. Needs to slow down. Yeah, it's on the backside, but that's a makeable putt. Oh yeah, circle, inside circle.
Forehand from Vincent. We'll drive it at the hill, let it hit the ground. It's kind of tough. It's kind of tough in that little bush right of the pin. There are holes to make the putt, but it's tough.
Yeah, you'd like to avoid it if you can. We'll see what he does from there. Ian, it says it's Polecat or it's Colt?
No, I think it's just Colt again.
Yeah. Oh, that needs to slow. That's the danger. If you get a kind of a skip forward, you can go into that brush behind the basket. That's where I tend to land if I do hit the gap. This is looking towards one of those trees early, but he's going to spit all the way through and nearly dump it in. Holy smokes. All right, no OBs for this time. Oh, see, just like I said earlier, I've been over there. It's not a great spot. Oh, just a touch low. Got Dave now. He can't afford to lose a stroke to Vincent. He's started down by 3, and he's going to make that. He's looking to maybe sneak another stroke away from Vincent, who's a little obstructed, like you said, from those bushes.
He's nipping at his heels. He's putting that pressure on Vincent. Vincent responds very nicely there with a great putt, but clearly the sign of a world champ. He's not giving up. He's fighting hard and putting that pressure on this kid.
Mm-hmm. And they are both having a fantastic front 9 right now.
Tapping his birdie.
Oh, Willie just had a little turkey there. Somehow I missed that.
Fighting hard. Slow start, but he's been. Yeah. As soon as he threw that shot in on hole 3, it's been, like I said, turned his round right around.
That sounds like a Justin Timberlake lyric.
That was my second passion. I should have been Justin Timberlake.
All right, that last hole averaged at 2.87. We're headed into hole 8 now, which averages a little easier than this. You want to throw a backhand probably into these trees up high or just hit this gap and give yourself a putt. There is a hill on the left side. You talked about this last round, where if you do go a little, push past the basket, it will get stopped, but you really want to have this kind of speed control and give yourself a putt at the basket.
Most common play here is a mid-range, kind of straight at the pin.
Yeah, Willie's holding a buzz in his hand. And a buzz OS.
Probably 2 stability as a buzzes, honestly.
Yeah. He's got some weird buzzes in his bag, and it's like hard for me to keep it straight because 2 of them are the same color. But I know the blue one is a buzz. It's an ESP buzz, and it's older too.
It looks a little more overstable from Dave. You can kind of see he's playing into that hillside.
Yeah, I think Vincent is like really, really playing hot right now. I wonder what Dave's mental approach to it is, if he's trying to just make sure he stays in bounds to kind of force Vincent to throw in bounds, because they both just threw really safe and they're both pretty, circle 2-y. I don't know if 2-y is a word, but I'm going to make it up right now.
I liked it. The thing about these holes, these next 4 holes, is if you can get out of these holes clean with no OB strokes, but let's say you're not quite getting your birdies, you're still going to be okay. It's not, because something that hits the tree and goes in the water is instant stroke. You're losing a stroke,
Mm-hmm.
So you can see that these 2 athletes that are kind of in the lead are playing more on the safe side over that water. This is where Ian starts to fire in the course, because this is rock-friendly heaven.
Yeah, and he loves his rocks.
Loves throwing those rocks.
That was spicy. Right at the basket there. All right, Vincent from probably 40, 45, I'd say. He says, give me that.
He is feeling it.
I mean, to keep in mind, hot rounds last time at this course, so in round 2, were like -6. And he's at -5 through 8. Oh, and Dave nearly able to convert.
Another stroke separator.
Yeah, that's going to make the hill that Dave needs to climb that much taller. Willie for 4 in a row. He says, yes, sir. Give me that.
Willie Prince. In fuego.
He is on that birdie train. Pat's trying to match one here. Got one last hole. Can he get 2? From the knee, he sure can. You guys are making the hole pretty easy.
This is, I mean, that's obviously not easy, but these guys are. But one of the easier holes on the course to the point where it feels like a must get.
I agree, especially for this card. If you're competing for first or you're trying to compete for the win, got to get it.
Dave's kind of bummed right now, putting in for par.
Yeah, he's going to lose a stroke to the card.
Mm-hmm. And, I mean, I'm going to say, let's say 80% of the professional field.
Yeah, and so that's not one he wanted to miss. But we only have 1 hole left to go for the 9. 315 feet, lots of water on the left side. You have a small little path leading to the basket. What's the play here, Matt?
There's a couple of them. Most commonly, it's going to be a stall hyzer up and over. You see that bush or that tree that's kind of hanging over the water. You'll throw a neutral fairway driver up high, have it turn slightly and stall out to crash. Otherwise, the forehand over the water is a common play.
If you're Reed, you're just going to skip it off the water, right?
Yep. You can see Willie's going with the stall hyzer. The thing with a stall hyzer is you got to push around. He was way around it. He's deep.
Holy smokes.
Which is fine. Safe on this hole is good. But there's a pine tree that's about, you can see the trunk right to the right of the basket.
Mm-hmm.
It catches everything and just kind of ploops you right back into the water.
Yeah, it overhangs the water too much.
So pushing that stall hyzer, Vincent's not turning it quite enough.
This looks in danger of the... Oh, he pushed
of the tree line.
Don't... Oh.
And very common. That's not unlucky. That is something that happens quite often.
I still want to believe it's unlucky.
Okay. I mean, I have seen things that push through that, and then you're safe. So it's definitely... You're risking it. We'll just say that.
Yeah. We'll say that he probably didn't deserve to push through it, and it did, and then he got pushed back. You know, he rolled back in the water, which is probably what should have happened. So his net luck and bad luck is 0 still.
Right. I think Ian goes with his TL3 here or a rock. I'm not quite sure.
That's maybe one of the best distance controls I've seen on this hole ever.
I think that might be his rock.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that is a rock. Okay, Dave knows that Vincent's in the water. He can get this stroke back if he puts it in bounds. He's putting it in the same spot and nearly has a similar result, but he's safe.
Right, there's that discussion right there.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't push the disc far enough. He didn't get around that pine tree. So again, you're playing with the tree line at that point.
Pat is short of the drop zone. Pat doesn't go for the hole. He actually plays it safe because I don't think he wants to lose any discs, and he knows that he's going to take a stroke from people who do lose a position here. Because if you go in the drop zone, this is a tough drop zone spot. It is way back.
Definitely.
Okay, Dave here with a chance to get 2 strokes on him, actually. Oh,
would have been. He's so good at that, like, slight nose up floater putt.
Willie is deep and in trouble in the woods. Yeah, and it just obstructed him a little too much. So the birdie train's going to end for Willie. Ian here with a beautiful drive on this hole. That's about as good as it gets for a birdie.
That's a really good birdie.
So he's going to walk away with that. Dave's tapping in. We got a couple more tap-ins here. Vincent
still picking up a stroke. He's still picking a stroke up on Vincent, though.
Yes, he is.
The battle continues.
Back to 3 strokes with 9 to play. It's not impossible, but really this is the first mistake we've seen from Vincent, and I'm going to say it's a mistake with an asterisk. And so, like, Vincent is still playing really hot. Dave's going to need to still be perfect on this back 9 to have a chance to really run at it. But nothing too horrible on this card. Pretty close to average for the field. Taking a look at the back 9 here, we still have that race. 3 strokes between Vincent and David. 1 stroke back from that is Willie. And then we got Pat and Ian 1 stroke back from there. So we still have a race here. Anything can happen on the back 9. Thanks, Matt, for joining me.
For sure. Thank you so much for having me, and I'm excited to check out this back 9.
Yeah, we'll see you guys then.